Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Deal with D and J. I am your co-host, DJ McCatherine, alongside the GOAT, the stunning, the nice hat wearing Jacob Prail. We're back, Jacob. We just did a college football Big Ten off-season preview. Coming into the 2024 season, we're going to go a conference by conference. There's only four, by the way, these days. About and the number one or the first one that we did was the Big Ten, and so now we are doing a four segment or a four part for the each direction of the NFL divisions. So, with that being said, we're going to start in the North, the AFC North, the NFC North. Excuse me, that was wrong. The NFC East and the AFC East. It's late, ladies and gentlemen. There is a reason why me and Jacob have been slacking lately. It's because we're tired. But Jacob, which one? Let's start with you first here. Where do you want to go first, and who are you going to start with?
DJ, I just want to say thank you for that wonderful intro. You're looking as great as always, radiating, as some would say. Keep up the skincare routine.
It's the light.
It's the light, exactly. Let's start with America's team in the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys.
Whoop whoop whoop.
Now,
Some just breaking news, right? I don't know if you've been
I
over the web today.
saw it.
Michael Gallup retiring from football. CeeDee Lamb refusing to show up to camp. The wide receiver room that is holding the Dallas Cowboys together is it's
Paper
getting
thin.
spread thin.
Paper thin. Now, this is why I wanted to start with the Cowboys, because there's no team besides them in that division from an outside perspective with the most pressure. Philly has pressure, but it's only in the head coach's sense of like, is Nick Sirianni the guy, or was he just boosted by his coordinators, right? Which we'll dive into Philly in a little bit, right? But Dallas, to me, I think is a wonderful story because, oh boy, you got a million questions that need to be answered this season,
Yep.
right? CeeDee Lamb's not reporting to camp, so he's going to get a big deal, and he's probably going to get paid higher than Justin Jefferson. So imagine that's the ballpark, is him and Jefferson. It's going to be high. I think Lamb and Chase are both going to get higher contracts than Jefferson. I think Jefferson was like,
Oh, it's your team, man.
yeah, but like, I don't care about the contract. I'm just cared about signing him. Justin Jefferson signed like a thing like about 42 million a year, I believe. Let me look it up here.
He
Let me look
signed
it up.
42 million a year.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Here it is. Justin Jefferson signed a 4-year, $140 million dollar contract, which 110 of that is guaranteed. It's a new
100.
sal. It's a new salary of 35 million per year. My bad. And now expect Lamb to probably be 4 years, 145, maybe 150, right? So either way,
Oh,
Dallas has a lot
just
of questions.
killing the market. My God.
Dallas just has a lot of questions to be answered, right? Is Dak the guy worthy of a brand new contract? Is Mike McCarthy
No,
the answer at head coach?
maybe.
Questionable. Micah Parsons needs to get paid. He needs to get a new contract, right? What do you value him at if you're paying Dak and CeeDee, right?
If they pay Dak again, oh my gosh.
That's what you got to figure out, right?
What's his name needs to go.
You lost Dan Quinn as your defensive coordinator. How's the defense going to look? Last year, your defense was good until it became Swiss cheese against Jordan Love and the Packers. Pun intended.
Classic. That's classic playoff Cowboys, though.
Pun intended on the Swiss cheese against the Packers. Good
Mac and
one.
cheese.
And now you pride yourself on a running game and you don't have a running back. You gave up Tony Pollard. after one not great year because you didn't scheme around him correctly.
Hey,
You brought back,
Year one Zeke is goaded over there on the Cowboys.
yeah, you brought back Zeke, who's old, and now it's like you got to go between Rico Dottle and Zeke and maybe and like Deuce Vaughn maybe. So like, and now it's like the only receiver at camp right now is Brandon Cooks, I believe, is like
Yep.
one of the only guys. I think they got a rookie in the draft as well. I don't know what their wide receiver core looks like because all I knew was that it was CeeDee Lamb, right? It was always CeeDee. It was never anything else, and like he's not reporting the camp, which spells a big issue for the Dallas Cowboys. Huge issue. I mean,
Yep.
wide receiver room is Brandon Cooks. You're looking at like CeeDee Lamb. You're looking at Jalen Tolbert, Turpin. Maybe like some of these guys, like Jalen Brooks, could do some. I'm not even sure. Yeah, Corey Crooms, who's like I'm naming all these guys that I never heard of in my life, right? But that's just the price you're paying right now, and obviously they still have Jake Ferguson living every college boy's dreams, dating one of the Cavender twins, but like it's just one of those things where there's a ton of question marks with Jerry's team. And personally, I think a lot of those questions are going to be answered, whether they like them or not. And I think,
um,
and I personally, a little preview here before we get into our hot takes of the season in an episode before week one. I think we see two or three significant people of that organization leave. Maybe of their choice, maybe not.
mm, um, yeah, the Cowboys are not in good shape right now. As I read alerted, um, that Michael Gallup is retiring from football at 28 years old. I mean, a solid wide receiver 2/3 in the mix there with Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb. A horrible loss for that offense that was already downgraded, right, with the loss of Tony Pollard, but they didn't really use Tony Pollard anyways. Um, and they got back Zeke, which will help in their power run game, but who are you throwing to? Who are you going to protect? Is that going to stay healthy? Is that going to be consistent? Um, there's just too many question marks right now in Dallas, and you know, I don't know where they start. I'm just a little lost. Because they can't afford to pay Dak again. Dak's going to want more money. He's going to lead the league in something that just ultimately leads to failing. Because that is what Dak has done. That is what Romo did. That is what Jerry Jones does. That's what the head coaches of the Dallas Cowboys do. Now, is it McCarthy? I don't know. Um, is it players that just aren't hitting expectations? That seems to be it. Then when the going gets tough, they fold. So when that happens, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, you got your team ready throughout the whole season. Why is it in that one moment they decide to fail? I don't know. Defense shot, offense non-existent. Do I think it was Mike McCarthy's issue? No. Do I think the players weren't good enough? No. Did they play good enough? No. I don't know. But the Dallas Cowboys, big question mark. Pick them. My early thing. I pick them.
You gotta
I
pick
think
like
by default they got to be the second best team there. But
yeah, it's a tough division.
I mean, maybe the Commanders. Commanders made some pretty good pickups in the offseason. I don't think that it's enough, but um, we thought that a couple years ago. So
Kind of jumping into the next big team in the NFC East of the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a lot of pressure, and it's
mhm.
not in the sense of Super Bowl winning. I don't think. I think that is an aspiration. Ever since I think my biggest thing, and now this is where Philly fans might kill me, aka my girlfriend might kill me, is I think Philly fans jumped the gun so fast all the time. Like your team this year, I hate to break it to you, on paper, as of right this moment, is not a Super Bowl winning team. Just not. Defensively, you're not there yet. Secondary still not great. You lost some really key pieces. You lost Jason Kelsey. I think Fletcher Cox is coming back for another year, but now your D line's starting to get older, right? The secondary was Eli Apple burnt toast bad last year. Like, but offensively, if Jalen Hurts can kind of figure out how to not do what he did last year and kind of play to that MVP level caliber quarterback that he was 2 years ago and led him to a Super Bowl, I think the Eagles could really make a lot of noise. Could make a lot of noise, right? You now add Saquon to a very good running offensive line. You still have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. You have Dallas Goedert, right? And Grant Calcaterra, right? You have a lot of really, really good pieces on the offensive side of the ball. I think the Eagles, I think, I think the question mark with the Eagles, it's not the talent and it's not the personnel. It's can Nick Sirianni coach this team? Is Sirianni the guy? Because at the end of last season was really, really bad. And now it's what happens? You add Kellen Moore to the offense as the OC. What changes? Can you avoid the mistakes of last year of losing leads, not stopping the run, losing the teams you shouldn't have, like Arizona in week 16? Like games like that is what I'm talking about. So I'm interested to see what happens with Philly. I think because of the historical aspect of the division, I think they win the division because no team has won the division 2 years in a row since like 1990 something.
Right.
So I think by default, it's probably going to be the Eagles because the Cowboys won it last year. So with that logic, that's kind of where I'm looking with the Eagles. I'm really concerned about Nick Sirianni. I'm not concerned about the offense at all. I think as long as AJ Brown doesn't like throw hissy fits every third week of the season and like just plays ball, I think this team's really good. And I think
Uh,
Devontae Smith is going to have a breakout type of season this year as well, which is going to frustrate AJ Brown a hell of a lot more. But Devontae Smith is that good.
yeah, I think the pickup is Saquon, and then they got a good amount of people on defense too. I mean, they picked up Devin White from Tampa. They picked up C.J. Gardner Johnson, I believe in the middle of the season last year. Um, maybe you didn't see that impact of him at the end of the year, but like, how long has Sirianni been over there?
He's been over there for at least 5, 6 years now.
He went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Right? He had a slip up last year, and maybe his bad coaching, maybe bad coordinators. Something went bad, right? And went extremely bad. Like heavy train not able to stop, um, ruin your playoff chances. Um, but he knows the track, right? He knows how to get back on track, or excuse me, he knows the track. We don't know if he's able to get back on it, but he knows it. So if he can, if he learns from this mistake, this team could very easily be a Super Bowl contender, easily with the staff that they have on board. Their defensive line is stellar, big upgrade in Devin White. Their secondary is second to almost none. Um, and then the offensive side, they're stacked. I mean, so stacked. Oh, and they picked up Quinyon Mitchell was just drafted, right?
Oh
He
my
was a guy
God.
from Toledo.
I forgot about that stuff.
Yeah. So they picked him up in the draft. Like the
Forgot
team,
about that stuff. That guy is going to be so good.
and they got Cooper DeJean from Iowa. They picked up their defensive needs, and I don't really think it was the secondary that needed it. But regardless, they've been They've been a good defensive team. Um, and I think they have the opportunity, and I think Sirianni's good enough to learn from his mistakes and bring this team back to a 1 seed, a 2 seed.
I think Sirianni, I didn't realize how young of a coach he is. He's been a head coach of the Eagles since 2021. So he had
Okay.
the 2022 season, the 23 season, which they went to the Super Bowl.
22 season, they went to the Super
22,
Bowl.
22 season, they went to the Super Bowl. So, well, he had the 21 season, my bad. 21 season, 22 season, 23 season. So this is season 4. Took the Eagles to Super Bowl in year 2 under
Hmm.
Nick Sirianni. The question I still have is Nick Sirianni the guy? Because
Well,
we're
Joe
gonna
Burrow
find
took them to a Super Bowl, took the
you
the
mean Jalen
Bengals to a
Hurts?
Super Bowl in year 2 and was injured in year 1 and year 3. But nobody's questioning if he's not a dude. So,
Well, he also has the track record of when he is fully healthy, beating the Chiefs, beating the Bills, winning the division. Nick Sirianni has had 2 seasons of 9-8 with a wild card berth with one first round bounce, with I think one or two first round bounces. Let me take a look. Both times lost to the Buccaneers in a wild card, right? Um, and yeah, I don't really like so like if Joe Burrow was, you know, that style, then like we're having a different conversation. Like Nick
mm,
Sirianni right now is like Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has had not he's been up and down. He hasn't had great seasons yet. He had one bad one really good one mid one again. What happens? I think Nick Sirianni's a question mark. I'm not concerned about the team itself. Concerned about what happens when the skid happens. Can Nick Sirianni stop it? Next team, while DJ fiddles.
I'm looking for a Charger.
Uh, Next team here, let's talk about. I guess we'll talk about the New York Football Giants,
New
perhaps.
York Football Giants.
They decided to let Saquon walk in free agency. I don't know if you watched the hard knocks of the offseason with the Giants,
I
but
saw the phone call.
I don't know how Joe Scone, Shown, however you say it. I'm not sure how he will have a job after this season if they are a top 10 pick again in the NFL draft.
And they're going to be.
You put all the eggs in the basket on Daniel Jones, which you shouldn't have. You got a Devin Singletary as your running back. You have a decent revamped O line, right? You drafted Malik Neighbors, who, from all reports of minicamp, is a stud, which
I
we
would hope
knew,
so.
but a stud. Defensively, on the defensive side of the ball, you invested in Brian Burns and
You
a
missed
trade.
Jalen Hyatt too, boy.
Yeah, but he hasn't done anything. I'm high on Jalen Hyatt too, but he hasn't done anything because Daniel Jones is his freaking quarterback.
All right, fair. The
And
defense rests.
you have Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. I think again, the question with this team is the same thing every team probably wants to know: is Daniel Jones the guy? We both know that answer is no.
No.
It's been no. He had one good season. Doesn't mean he's the guy. And you paid him a contract worthy of being the guy, and that's a bad decision.
You hear that?
Yeah. Didn't know we had a soundboard here.
There we go. I'll do the yelling for the good ones and the cheering for the bad ones.
Anyways, DJ, give me your opinion on the Giants here.
The Giants are a hot pile of garbage. Just they are crispier than the Commanders. They are just not very good. In any sense. I have no faith in them. I think Neighbors is a great pickup, but
Would
I
have
don't.
looked a whole lot better if you kept Saquon.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
whole
not really though.
did you see
Um,
did you see the whole process of Saquon? They were like,
I saw that
we
they were
go,
gonna do a phone. They did a phone call. He said he wanted to be a Giant. They asked him to test free agency because he was gonna cost too much money, and then they eventually let him go. What I believe was the gist of it.
well, what was crazy was, yeah, they were like, he goes, I want to be a Giant. They go, listen, we do too, but why don't you go test free agency? And the only thing we ask that you do is when a team gives you an offer, let us know if we can match it. That is so dumb. And then the Giants owner is like, we can't lose Saquon. And the GM's like, hate to break it to you, dude. Probably gonna lose Saquon. And all it was, it caught and like Saquon's contract, while it's good for a running back, isn't like super crazy. It's just this guy wasn't willing to pay your franchise guy that you should have paid instead of Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
And now he's on your division rival. I hate to break
it's the fact that nobody else was gonna pay Daniel Jones 40 mil a year.
except
The max he was gonna get was 25 anywhere he went, and he didn't even deserve that. So
I don't even think it was a free agency thing. I think it was an extension.
yeah,
You didn't even pick up the fifth.
so
Anyways, I will tell you right now, this GM, he's fired.
Goner.
He's gone. He's toast. I think I think Hard Knocks did not do him very well at all. If Malik Neighbors turns out to be a complete stud and they make the playoffs, egg on my face. But
On my face.
I don't see that happening. Not in this NFC landscape, unfortunately.
No, but an NFC team that does intrigue me here, Jacob, as I'm just scrolling through their roster real quick. I know more based on just I know their roster without having to look at it, but just refreshing the brain, just so everybody doesn't think I'm cheating over here. Is the Commanders. And I know what you think. Oh, the Commanders, they're gonna be garbage just as usual. They picked up Jaden Daniels. They got Austin Eckler. If he can stay healthy, he's gonna be a madman, right? Marcus Mariota is the backup. You still have Terry McLaurin. Bobby Wagner's he's a little old, but he's
Great,
still pretty
great
good.
veteran linebacker to lead a
Hmm.
Dan Quinn defense.
Yep, Jahan Dotson is a dog.
Dog.
Um, and you've got a lot of people here that have a lot of experience. Jonathan Allen on the defensive end or defensive tackle side, he's going to be good again this year.
He's
Dominique
been a dog.
Hampton, the rookie coming in from Washington, he is going to be good. Um, so you've got some people on this team that will make Washington interesting, right? If Dallas is going to be as down bad as we think they are, we could see another scenario like I believe it was not this past year, but the year before, that all three teams slid into a playoff spot. Excuse me,
Oh,
that was
Zach Ertz is the tight end now for the Commanders as well.
I did not know that.
And
Um,
Ben Sinnott, who I love. I love Ben Sinnott. Love.
so I mean the offense seems like it's there. They got Dante Fowler Jr. also on the defensive
Defensive
side.
side of the ball. Ooh.
Hmm.
I
So
think
again, the group big scheme here is they've got some dogs on their team. They've got some pickups. They've made and signed those players to make this team at least seem competitive on paper. They look like they can do some damage. They could play a little bit of spoiler and upset your favorite team. Um, the execution of that is all going to be in the eyes of the head coach who is currently
Dan Quinn.
yes um was escaping me now to that but again on paper it looks good but paper burns very quickly so we're
Yeah,
gonna find out what it is.
I think for the Commanders, I think the ceiling is high. I
Hmm.
think they are going to surprise some teams. I think Jaden Daniels is going to have a lot of learning curves.
Yep.
I don't think his offensive line is going to be a much help. I think he's going to do a lot of scrambling, but you could be in a worse situation as a rookie quarterback. You have Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson, who are really, really good. You have Zach Ertz, a veteran tight end. You have veteran running backs. Dan Quinn gets Bobby Wagner to the quarterback, a veteran to get a defense that deserves a leader. The question for me is Emmanuel Forbes that guy,
Right.
corner wise, for the defense? He's very undersized still. He was not great last year compared to Devin Witherspoon. So it's interesting to see where Emmanuel Forbes ends up becoming. I still thought he was all hype, no gas. So, um, like I said, I think there's a lot of interesting things. I think Ben Sinnott being on this team, I think allows for so much dynamic flexibility. Flexibility. If they, I
Flexibition.
was gonna make up,
Nice.
just gonna make up my
New
own word.
word.
New
I'm
word.
gonna put that in a big banner, and when you
Yeah.
say it, it's gonna
Boom.
flexibition.
Um, because if they use him right, because dude, the man has spider tack for fingers. Like he played Mizzou and he just caught every
Mm,
ball. And I think Ben Sinnott is, or Ben Sinnott, however you pronounce it, I think he's really, really good. I think he'll be great for this team in a couple years, maybe not year one.
right.
But my early bold prediction for the NFC East, I'm gonna go not bold, I guess. I think this is how everyone expects it to kind of go. This is like
Maybe
the
I gotta put in every time we fumble a word, we'll just put blast tired on the screen.
yeah, just like Z's put bags over my eyes or something. But I think it's gonna go Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants.
See, I'm gonna switch it up just a little bit. I'm gonna go Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. I am gonna put the Commanders in that spot, and I just have a little bit of faith in them. I think that the Cowboys are gonna spiral, but I think it's gonna be close. I think one could go 9-8, and the other one go 8-9 type of deal.
Yeah. Well, DJ, let's keep powering through.
I thought he was gonna wrap it.
We got the AFC East now.
I just dreading life right now.
The boy is
Um,
tired. The boy is tired. I played water polo at swim practice, dunking around high schoolers because they thought they could body me and they forgot who I am, so I had to remind them.
I,
Um,
I hear you.
oh man.
But
That's
let's start from the bottom. Let's start easy here. What do we think about the New England Patriots?
um who's
Besides, not much.
who's their number one wide receiver is the question.
Number one,
Kobe,
Javon Baker, and then they've got Kawan Baker.
no, they got another guy. What's his name? It's the guy from Washington. Jalen Polk.
Oh, Juju Smith is still over there.
Yeah, but he hasn't done anything since
Jalen Polk, KJ Osborne, Jaquay Jackson.
watching. Nobody's. Anyways, listen, living in Massachusetts, no one's excited about this team. Not a single person. They're wondering to know when can they go watch their Celtics play in October. Drake May, from everything I hear, he's not gonna be QB1 to start the season. Which is
They
okay.
they plan on Brissett being that guy, right? Not
Yeah.
Milton.
No, Brissett, and then it's gonna be May, then Milton. Now, Milton is a dangerous wild card because you can end up in a RG3 Kirk Cousins situation,
Mm-hmm.
and he never gives up the starting job, right? Um, but I think Drake May will eventually get the keys to the Corvette like week 14, week 15, when the Patriots are like super out of it, just to see what they got, right?
Right.
Um, but nothing to where you're gonna run your team's fan base like heavy in the crown. I think Drake May, I'm gonna be honest, the more I've watched and the more I've seen, I like I like him. I loved him as a prospect. I'm not sure New England is the right fit for him. He's got nobody to throw to, right?
It's true.
Richard, Ramondre Stevenson is a great back, right? Defensively, they might be good on the ball because, what's the head coach's name? Jared Mayo, Gerard Mayo. Gerard Mayo is a defensive minded guy. So I'm interested to see, but it's going to be a different Patriots mindset and style that we are used to because Bill Belichick has been relieved of his duties. So I think the Patriots have a ton of work to do, and hey, they're going to live in the top 10 for the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. We're gonna go up the ladder. One more of what I think is going to be the number 3 team here, Jacob, and I think it's going to be the Buffalo Bills. I think they're going to fall to 3.
This Buffalo Bills
I feel
slander.
like they did a rather good recovery on the offensive side, right? I feel like that's a little hard to believe. Getting rid of Stephon Diggs, who could easily be a top 5 receiver any given Sunday. Um, but you rebuttal with signing Curtis Samuel, right? You get Chase Claypool hasn't done much recently, but he can catch a football, right? Um, and I know you're looking at these people, and you're not super excited, but they still have Dalton Kincaid out there. They have, I believe, last year they started using James Cook and realized he's not half bad. They've got Frank Gore Jr. back there. On the defensive side is where you really struggle. They got rid of a lot of positions um, that were top notch for them that you would have expected them to uh, re-sign. I believe Milano was a linebacker they got rid of last year. You have also what's his name, Von Miller, who's getting super old right now, and you're as a Buffalo Bills fan, like our sports director at our news station is a big Buffalo Bills fan. She just doesn't know where the team should go next. There are multiple holes that they need to fill. And it doesn't seem so much like the major ones are being filled, like your secondary or your offensive line. So with all of those struggles, and I feel like the organization is having an earthquake. Um, I see them falling into the 3rd seed in the AFC East, and I think with the firepower that the Dolphins have kept building, um, that is kind of why um I put the Bills at 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna heavily disagree with you. I remember last year
Do it.
you guys last year got so mad at me because I picked the Bills to win the division. You guys were all Jets, 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 or Miami. And I still ended up correct because the Bills went 11-6 and won the division. Pro, pro, point proof.
Fired.
Fired. Listen, offensively, on the offensive side of the ball, there's a lot to be concerned about, right? You're looking at Josh Allen at QB. You're not worried about that. Running back wise, you're looking at James Cook, Ray Davis, really young running backs, right? Ray Davis is a real running ground, while James Cook is really, he goes out on the outside, he can catch, he can, run between the tackles. And wide receiver wise, this is the biggest question, right? As of right now, you got Khalil Shakur, which I think people are sleeping on him in the slot. I think they have special plans for this guy this year. I think he is not just some like runaway go home guy, right? Keon Coleman, I think we're getting a little dissuade from, you know, he's a phenomenal soundbite. Awesome soundbite guy. I did not love him as a prospect. The fact that you didn't go up to get Brian Thomas over him is a little surprising, but Josh Allen, I think, can make players look a lot better than they are.
You weren't happy with Keon Coleman?
No, because I thought
Oh,
because Brian Thomas was right there. That's my thing. That's what Brian
All
Thomas
right.
was right
All
there.
right. All right.
I
All
love
right.
Keon Coleman. I think he'll do great.
You just
But
called him a soundbite.
he has a soundbite. He hasn't done anything yet.
Neither is Brian Thomas.
Has he? Okay. And I prefer Brian Thomas over Keon Coleman.
Okay.
That's a personal preference.
Talking a lot of crap back there, Jacob.
Not talking a lot of crap when I can back it up, kid. Anyways, Dalton
You can't.
Kincaid.
They haven't done anything.
Neither have you in your NFL career. All right, be quiet. Um,
Tired.
we're just fighting like an old married couple, right? The offensive line's intact. Defensively, like yes, you let go of a lot of people. You let go. You still have Milano. You have Von Miller, right?
Do they still have Milano? I thought they got rid of Milano.
That's what this depth chart says on ESPN.
Linebacker,
That
right?
is that they still
Oh yeah, you're right. I stand corrected. I was wrong.
yeah, get your facts straight, kid. Um,
Tired.
Taylor Rapp is a really good secondary piece. Christian Benford has blossomed into one of their cornerstones on defense. He was actually a Villanova guy, actually. Fun fact. But
Go
yeah,
Bees.
I think this team's interesting defensively. Can they survive the injuries? They always get decimated. And that's what costs them every year is because they get decimated with injuries. Um, yeah, I think they've had their chances to win games. I think sometimes they blow it. I think Josh, being the gunslinger that he is getting to the point where I think he needs to start playing smart, not having so many turnovers. But at the same time, you got to live and die with Josh Allen because as much as he does sometimes lose you games, he also wins you a lot of games. People forget. Statistically, he's basically the same as Patrick Mahomes, like, minus the Super Bowls, which is like a stupid thing to say, but just want people to keep that in mind that when we're going Allen and Mahomes, Josh Allen statistically has been a hell of a lot better. Better. Yeah, I know. And
Tired.
if it wasn't for a 13-second hiccup on defense, he's going to the Super Bowl.
He is. Probably winning it too. Um, so now it becomes interesting. So I'm assuming where are you putting the Bills in your AFC East?
I think they win the division again.
All right. So now the question mark, crazy, I think, but Aaron Rodgers would have won that division last year if he didn't die in the first 4 minutes of his first game as a Jet. But all right. So who do we go with next? Go with your 3 seed.
My 3 seed will be the new. Actually, I'm gonna take the Miami Dolphins as my 3 seed.
Miami Dolphins as a 3 seed, so I'll have them as my 2. Elaborate, Jacob.
I don't believe in Tua. I don't think he's gonna win the big games, and I think they got a decent amount of them this year. You have a great 1-2 punch with A-Chain and Mostert right now. You have Tyreek and you have Waddle. Offensively, you should just be unstoppable, right? And defensively, I think it's the same thing. You got Jalen Ramsey in the offseason, I think, this year or the last season, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have Holland, you have Ramsey, you have Hoyer now, you have Kendall Fuller, you have Bradley Chubb, great
Yep.
defensive ad. Jalen Phillips, great defensive. Calais Campbell, great. Like everything on paper should say that, like, you are should win this division. Problem is you have Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback, and I don't think he's good enough to win them the division. So I have them as my 3 just because of the big bad man who's coming back for the Jets.
The big bad man. Um, and I just wanted to take a quick peek uh over here. Um, they have by far the fastest wide receiver core I've ever seen in my entire life.
They have the
Because
fact they easily, DJ, if they do everything right, and everything falls into place. They are the greatest show on turf 3.0, 2.0.
It's insane. Jalen Waddle, who likes to believe that he's faster than Tyreek Hill. On top of the fact that you have Tyreek Hill, and then you have a former fastest man in the US. I mean, it was a good bit ago, but he's still fast in Anthony Schwartz. And he's in year 3, possibly 4. I can't remember. I believe this is going to be year 4 for him. He struggled in some places. I believe he was signed as a free agent to the Browns and then whatever, but he was a track star in high school, with multiple offers to run in college. But the offense again should be unstoppable, right? Tua is an issue, but you've got a wizard at head coach, right? And I know it takes tweaking, and like last year was a big year for Tua. Was he injured a lot last year? Or was that the year before?
The year before was the like bad concussions and
Okay, so this was his first year coming back like completely healthy, and did he have more concussions this year?
not really.
Um, so
He got, he was relatively healthy all year. He played every game.
okay. Um, I think this will be the defining year for Tua if he's gonna stay or if he's gonna go. You mentioned the defensive pickups, Chubb and Fuller, alongside with Ramsey, and among other stuff. I know that there's a linebacker that I'm forgetting right now. That's because Baker's gone, right? They got rid of Baker the last couple years. Um, The one that I'm thinking of is not here. But regardless, they've got a defense that can hold. And
It's just like you look at the Miami's, season last year, and outside of like a couple like conference games, like they didn't play anybody like super hard, right? You opened the season up against the Chargers pre-Herbert injury. You battle, win by 2. Then you played a bad New England team and a bad Denver team, and you beat the brakes off Denver. Then you get smoked by Buffalo. Then you play New York and Carolina. So within the first 6 weeks, not even 5 out of the 6 teams ended up with a top 10 overall. Actually, no, 4, because Denver was number 12 or 13, right?
mhm,
Then you played Philly, lost. Played Kansas City, lost. What were they? Playoff teams. Vegas, win. Guess what? Top 15 pick. You beat the Jets. Guess what? Top 10 pick. You beat the Commanders. Top 5 pick. You lose to Tennessee because Mike Vrabel does that to you and puts your brain in a blender on Monday night. Happens. Guess what? Top 10 pick. Shouldn't have lost there. New York Jets, you beat them. Top 10 pick. You beat Dallas, the one big win they had, like on Christmas Eve by 2. We figured out Dallas wasn't any good. Then Baltimore. So really, the only playoff team that they beat was Dallas. So where on the paper in like years past signals to you that the things are going to change? I'm worried that they're not. And it's not
right,
anyone's fault but Tua's. It could be Mike McDaniels, but Mike McDaniels has shown that he can command a locker room, and it's not him. It's Tua.
right.
Tua's the one making the throws. He's the key to the engine of the offense. The thing about the greatest show is it was Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Marshall Falk, Kurt Warner. I listed 4 Hall of Famers. Now, everyone is relatively young in their career outside of Tyreek, who's a bona fide Hall of Famer.
Boom.
Does this team feel like it can end up being like this? It could. It has the potential. It should. Will it? I don't think so. because Tua does this thing where it's screw it. I need to, we need to throw the ball. Tyreek is my only option. And he'll ignore everybody else, which happens to quarterbacks, but he did it a lot last season. I think that's why they sucked. Shall we
Well,
talk about the last team, DJ, and then both of us go to bed? Now, everyone who's listening to this, you can be listening to it in the morning, in the afternoon. Me and DJ are currently filming at 11:53 at night, and delusional has hit, which is why DJ has the New York Jets as his number 3. And I have the New York Jets at my number 2. 1. He has them at 1.
I have the New York Jets as the number 1 team in
Explain,
the AFC East.
explains his
Big
delusion.
mad, big mad. He could be mad. Who knows his mood day in and day out? But the big mad, big bad wolf, Aaron Rodgers returns.
That
Um,
bad man.
the bad man, and he comes with a squad that's young, right? That is energetic, athletic, and could have easily won a majority of the games that they lost last year if they had a competent quarterback behind them. Thank God Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson gone?
He is.
Zach Wilson is gone. So praise the Lord for that. Tyrod Taylor is their backup. So if something happens, God forbid, at least they have somebody that can throw the ball. But goodness gracious, this team, I'm excited for it. I feel like they're bringing back a lot of people. The team was solid last year, and I I may have called you crazy for having the Bills as the number 1 team. And I will still have you crazy this year for it, just for the fact that Aaron Rodgers is there. Because I didn't like Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets. I didn't. I thought it would be a toxic environment to a bunch of young people. And it seems like everyone loves him over there. Hasn't had much game time, but I believe the connection is there. They've got the talent behind them. Sauce Gardner, among others, on the defensive side. Garrett Wilson, among others, on the offensive side. They picked up Alan Lazard. Um, you know, he's he's a well-seasoned vet, but it's not old. He's 28 years old. Um, you got Brees Hall, who's going to be healthy, who is fast and shifty. And it just seems like all elements of the Jets game are going to be put to the test in the best way possible. And so as long as Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, I really I really don't see teams beating them if they're playing at their best. And granted, that's what you got to see from year 1 into year 2. People that are learning the ropes want to stay on the rope, right? They don't teeter one way or the other. Now you're going to have an opportunity where people have showcased their talents, been around other people, and we got to see what their work ethic and everything is going to be like going into year 2, especially with a young squad. So, will that continue? That is going to be the big question. If it continues and Aaron Rodgers comes back and he's healthy and he plays like Aaron Rodgers does, this will be a top 5 team in football this year. And I will stand by that comment. I will pick them to win the AFC East as long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy. And that's what I got. That's the last gasp of passion as it's still going out right now that I have for tonight, Jacob. The Jets,
Yeah,
AFC East.
I think the Jets. I think Aaron Rodgers being back is obviously a huge plus, right? Team was terrible without him last year. Um, and the thing about the Jets is defensively, they look phenomenal. They've done a great job drafting. I mean, guys they've drafted: Jermaine Johnson, stud; Quinnen Williams, stud; Kinlaw, I think they drafted stud;
Investment. Thank you.
Will McDonald, the 4th out of Iowa State, very good, stud like. Right? Then you go and get Sauce Gardner. We know he's a stud, right? And then you got Hassan Riddick from the Eagles. Great guy to get. You have CJ Mosley, right? DJ Reed, some good pieces. Then on the offensive side, you had Tyrion Smith and Olu Fashanu,
Mhm.
right? You have Morgan Moses, Elijah Vera Tucker that you built up. So your offensive line should be good, right? Defensively, or your tight ends might not be what you want with Conklin and Rucker, but you have Wilson, Corley, Mike Williams, if he's healthy, is a great deep ball threat for Aaron Rodgers, which he loves, and obviously Alan Lazard. So on paper, yes, I do think they should be a very good team, but I don't. I think they're going to hit a lot of rough patches because it's Aaron Rodgers year one in the system in terms of playing actual games of playing the offense. Like, no doubt, do I think they'll be better than the Dolphins. And now, granted, I think this division, ooh, I don't know, man. Football's tough. I was gonna say you could. I mean, football's tough because you're looking at the AFC North and you're like
That's
every
football.
every team from that division, if they're fully healthy, besides maybe the Steelers, well, even the Steelers could because it's Mike Tomlin could make the playoffs. Again, you have three teams that on paper have the potential to make the playoffs.
Is
Who's
it
the
possible for all four teams in the division to make playoffs? Only
uh
three?
yes, it is possible. It's possible for all four teams in the division to make it. But I like the Jets. I just don't like them better than my Bills. I think
That's
the
all
Bills,
right.
and I'm gonna be right again, and that's okay. Until you recognize that I know ball, it's fine.
uh,
I think the Jets are gonna hit a lot of hiccups. I'm not worried about the run game at all. Brees Hall's an animal. Braylon Allen, the backup, animal from Wisconsin.
mm-hmm.
I'm not worried about Rodgers to Wilson. I'm worried about who is the second option. If Mike Williams is only available for 7 games, you
But you put Alan Lazard there.
yeah, but he's not a deep ball guy. You could put Malachi Corley in there. He's a deep ball kind of gadget guy, but we'll see. That's just my only concern. Whereas with the Bills, like their concerns have been known, but they still win the division year in, year out. So until I are proven wrong, DJ, I'm riding them. So
Oh, jeez.
we'll
Oh, jeez. Whatever. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
It's been a long one, DJ.
It's been a long day. It's been a long last couple of weeks. It's been a long time since we put some content out, so I think we can suck it up a little bit for the dealers out there. Um, I have been your host for this podcast. I am the co-host, DJ McCatherine, alongside my co-host, Jacob Prail. Please like, comment, subscribe, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, like, comment, subscribe if I haven't said it not already. If I
Share,
did,
share.
share, repost, retweet. Um, and for just one last time, tired. This has been the deal with D and J.